Okay, that's good. Okay, so now this is the second part, and it's this new file which I'll upload separately. And this is going to be a fun session because I have the emulator running here. All right, so this looks like Windows because it is Windows running in an emulator. Okay, and this is a good way to do it because this way we can actually see what you should be seeing in Windows. Okay. So in Windows, I go to the App Inventor website. I go to let's see, resources. It's not responding in Windows. Closing Windows. Okay, now it shows up. Okay, now. All right, get started. There we go. So in Windows, you go to Get Started. You go to Setup Instructions, and then inside Setup Instructions, there are alternatives. You want the one to set up an emulator, so it's option 2. Don't have an Android device, use the emulator. Click on Instructions again. And once you're here, you want to scroll down, go to Instructions for Windows. Okay. And now you have the download the installer link. So you want to click on that one. And it's going to download the installer, which takes a while because I think it has to do with the bandwidth of the server. So this will take, like right now it estimates 11 minutes because it's downloading at a very, very slow pace. Okay. Once it is downloaded, you have to install it in Windows. And everything is installed in a particular folder, and I can show you where the folder is and how to navigate to that folder without using the command line. But there will be something you have to do with the command line. So once we get there, I'll show you guys, what to do. Looks like it's going to take a little bit of time, 9 more minutes to do it. Are there any questions I can answer within these 9 minutes?
So you just downloaded the tools first?
Yeah. Yeah, you have to download and install the tools first. I just haven't done that yet with this particular emulator. You had a question? Sorry.
Oh, no, I'm downloading the Windows.
Okay, on your laptop, right? Yeah. Yeah. If you have a laptop computer, you have to do exactly the same thing, so you can just do it. And in Mac OS X, I think it is about the same as it's closer to Linux than it is with Windows.
I have a smart file. I can give you if you want. I downloaded.
Oh, you have downloaded it? It won't help me because I'm running it inside the emulator, so it doesn't have any exposure to the USB port, so I can't really get to it. But thank you for the offer. So what we'll see next is going to be really interesting because I'm running Windows inside an emulator, and then I'll start the Android emulator inside the emulator already running Windows. So it'll be extra slow. But the fact that it can be done is interesting. We need some background music.
Are you going to watch the Super Bowl?
No, I'm not really a sports fan of any kind. Of any kind. The only sports I really like to watch is rally racing. Those people with crazy little small cars, driving through dirt roads and skidding and jumping and bouncing the whole way. Those are really fun to watch.
Programming is not considered a sport yet.
No, but certain games are. League of Legends is now considered a college sport.
Wow.
Yeah. You can tell your mom. You can tell your mom and say that, I'm not playing games, I'm getting ready for college. If you look up League of Legends college teams, Yeah, big colleges are taking this, pretty seriously. This is IVLOL, so even Ivy League schools have League of Legends teams.
Wow.
Yeah.
Olympics, they have Olympics, don't they?
Sorry?
I think they even have Olympics.
Oh, you mean League of Legends? Yeah, they organize all kinds of events worldwide.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
this
on
is,
TV.
yep. And they have multiple servers. They have the U.S. server, the European server, the Asia, server, and stuff like that. And if let's click on this link here. Not for anything.
Forward.
Hmm?
Season forward.
Oh, that is so outdated. It's season 6 now. Yeah, but you can see, they have the list of schools, who
wow.
are entering, and you can look into collegiate. And this one is from leagueoflegends.com, so this is outdated too, 2012 to 2013. Yeah, but people are taking this stuff, pretty seriously now. I mean, they're going fairly mainstream.
Do we have any assignments, or we do just the
Just the project proposal right now. Yeah. But the stuff that I did in class, you can just mirror that. I mean, if you think about it and you say, excuse me, if you think about what we are doing in class, and you say, well, this is something that I want to incorporate into my own project, you don't have to wait until your project proposal is all done and finished and approved and stuff like that. Just go ahead, jump right in, and say, okay, I want my own splash screen. Okay, here's my splash screen. I want animated splash screen. Okay, how do I make it animated? I can make it cycle through the bitmaps. I can do all kinds of other stuff. So you can go ahead and just incorporate what I have talked about in class into your projects. You're more than encouraged to try to, read ahead a little bit or just experiment. Okay, that's the best thing about a class in programming as opposed to, auto shop or woodworking. Okay, with woodworking, if the professor has not talked about how to use a table saw or a circular saw or some other dangerous equipment, and you just want to, I'm going to try this out by myself, may not be the best idea. Welding, even worse, right? But in programming, hey, what is the worst thing that can happen? The key is when you're experimenting, use a test project to do it. If it messes up, it's no big deal. Okay? So you just kind of have to adjust the mentality when you're taking a programming class and just go like, hey, I actually can explore and have fun, and not worry about oh, this is going to mess up and blow up something. No, it's not going to blow up anything. The only thing that may be a little bit dangerous is when you experiment with texting, having your app to handle all the texting, and you have a bug in your application and keep texting, all the time. You may rack up a pretty, big, bill on texting depending on your carrier and your plan. So there are certain things that may be kind of you have to watch out for, but for the most part, you can just play with it and experiment. Yep, go ahead.
Are you able to somehow set up some kind of messaging through the app? So
Yeah.
Say two people have the same message through that for their actual service provider?
Yes. So the way you set it up is to go through, if you just search for that, you'll find it. It's a app, Inventor, text, or texting. That should locate it. So SMS texting is the topic. And this one gives you all the diagnosis of your potential problems. So the actual item is let's look up SMS. Alert me. Tutorials. And I'm going to filter it by SMS texting. Click filter. Yep, right there. So these are all tutorial items. Right? Let me just kind of magnify this a little bit. So these are all tutorials, related to texting. So this tutorial introduces the texting component for sending and processing text. You'll build an app that texts a list of phone numbers. So if you right-click on this one, open a new tab, it basically it guides you through the whole process. So that might be helpful to do, what you want to do. Helps you explore, what you can do with the texting mechanism. Okay. We only got 4 minutes left, so we are almost there. In fact, if you go to YouTube and look up App Inventor, SMS, you might find, videos already being up on YouTube to explain how to do that. Yeah, there are certain classes where you don't, or certain things that you don't want to do on your own before you were instructed of what to do next. And I'm thinking about woodworking, welding, and then the next one is gunsmithing. That may not be something that you want to do and go like, yeah, I think I can do this on my own. Let me try it out. Reloading, yeah, it's easy, right? Just put some powder into the cartridge, push the projectile onto it. How hard can that be? And besides, if something goes wrong, it's going out. It's not going back to me. Well, think again. There are cases where some people put in too much powder, and it creates so much force. Okay, the bolt of the rifle broke and shot backwards, took out like half of the face of the person who's actually shooting. And that person ended up in a coma and died eventually. So yeah, that stuff you have to be really, really careful. But once again, we are just writing apps. And we still have 3 minutes to go. Man, it's so slow. Yep.
I have a clarifying question about the UML assignment. Should I wait till after this class? Or is this something?
No, go ahead, since we do have some time.
We talked before about multiple actors on use cases. The example you used before was the scoring for. But if we're talking about our application we're writing this class, is this going to be something like where two different people have the same app on different phones and it works sort of incongruent with each other, or is it
Right.
handing your device to somebody else and they're doing?
Can be either.
Okay.
Yep, can be either. So, how the other person, get the phone physically to interact with your app is not important.
Okay.
It's just that, one app now has multiple classifications of people using it.
Got it.
Whether it's remotely, done through the cloud, or physically you're passing the phone to the next person, does not matter.
Okay.
1 minute. We're almost there. How many of you are taking cisp 300 this semester? Okay, so there are a few, okay. And the rest of you have taken some kind of programming classes before. Okay. Did you sign in? Okay, so you want to do that. Make sure that you initial next to your name. It's getting there. We only got about 3 megabytes to go. 4 megabytes. It's not.
I
Yeah.
have a question about screens in the last section. You had hard code as string literal all the different names for screens. Is there a block component that is like some other ones like you have to drop down and switch between the labels that are pre-named or whatever? You have to hard code them all as strings for screens.
Right. Okay. So that's a good question. You can make a list of strings. So basically it becomes quote unquote an array.
Okay.
So that's a good idea because now you can access individual items by its index. So throughout your program you just have to know the number corresponding to the message that you want that you pull out of the list. It also makes translation easier because now you give your app to somebody to do the translation, and they know, okay, all the strings are now here inside this list. So there's only one centralized place to do the translation. Okay, 1 second. Come on, let's do it. And that second is pretty long. Oh. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now we can run the installer just to get everything installed, and that's going to take a little bit of time because there are quite a few files to expand, and some of these files are pretty big. Go ahead and close Firefox because I really don't need it anymore. And here's the setup tool, or the tool setup. Just click all of the usual stuff. One thing that I found is if you try to install it so that anyone on the computer can use it, it doesn't work sometimes. I do not know the actual pattern, but I find that only for me always works. Okay? You did it for everyone?
Yeah.
Maybe if you're already signed in as an administrator, it's okay. But if you are not signed in as an administrator, you have to pick the second one. Oh, okay, I see. But the second one always works. Okay, assuming that you always sign into Windows, as a particular user. You can also, check your desktop icon, just in case you want to be able to access it quickly. I wouldn't bother to do that, because we have to start it up using a GUI, we have to start this up using a command line way anyway, so installing the icon onto the desktop is not going to be very helpful. But it's one of the options. Questions? Nope. Okay.
So we use the command prompt?
Yeah, we have. I'll show you guys how to do it. Yep. The idea is to replicate what I did today that I did in Linux, but do it in Windows instead. So I'm going to show you all the steps to do exactly the same thing in Windows, so you can start up the emulator independent to App Inventor. It's getting there. All right, there we go. So I'm not going to make it start AI starter tool right now because I really don't need it. Okay, this is exactly what we're trying to bypass. Okay. Oh, this is the same thing. I just clicked it twice. Okay, so we'll go ahead and cancel this second one. Okay, now we got everything installed. First thing is to find out where it is installed. I'll show you guys where it is installed. The exact location may change a little bit depending on which version of Windows you have, but it is going to be on the C drive for sure. Okay, on the C drive it will be under Program Files. Okay, if you have a 64-bit operating system, it will be installed under Program Files, 32-bit, because this is a 32-bit application. And then inside here you should find App Inventor right here. And then when you double click it, you will see the folder called Commands for App Inventor. In other words, the structure of this thing is the same as what we saw earlier in Linux. Okay, it's the same name, the same kind of folder. So you double click on Commands for App Inventor, then you will see a list of these commands, and they are the same name as well. You see ADB, you see Run Emulator, which is further down a little bit. Just like that. Now, starting the emulator, you can just double click on Run Emulator, and I think it's going to work because it's a Windows batch file, so it should work right away. So I'll just double click on this one, just to be sure that I can run the emulator independently. And I think it's not. It is working. It's just slow. And remember, I'm running an emulator on top of an emulator. Everything that I'm running right now is like really excessively slow. Okay, so that's why it's going to take a little bit of time to have this spin up. But it does work. It's just really, really slow. Does everybody understand what is an emulator?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. That's so you understand why it is so slow, because it's a program that is written to pretend to be another machine. But we have two pretends here because we have Windows itself running in emulation, and then we are running the Android machine as another emulation inside another emulation. So that's why it's really, really slow. Okay, so as it is doing this, I'll show you guys how to start a command line over here. And once again, that part depends on which version of Windows you have. So let me see if I can do this with a right click. Can't do that this way. There is a way to start a command line inside a folder. I don't think it's organized. Share with cannot be that. New folder cannot be that. Destination folder access denied. Okay. Well, because it's the folder thing. Well, I cannot remember how to start a command line in a folder. What do? Google. So we'll go ahead and go back to my native browser because the browser inside the emulator is just way too slow. So I'm going to use the native one. Okay, so I'd say Windows start CMD in folder. Okay, change the folder as whatever you want. Okay, Shift plus right click above the folder. Okay, Shift and right click. There we go. Alright, so getting back to here, we have to go to the folder itself. Okay, let's see what I can do here. Shift right click. There we go. Open command window here. There we go. Okay, so let me do this one more time and I'll be explaining it as I do it. Okay, so I'm going to skip everything out. Okay, so using the File Explorer, you can navigate to the folder. It's in your C drive, in Program Files, in App Inventor, inside Commands for App Inventor. So this is how you can navigate to the folder itself using the GUI tools. But once you get here, you do need to run it in command line. So the way to start up a command line already in this folder is to press the Shift key and then right click in Windows. That will give you this particular menu. Within this menu, you go to here, which is Open Command Window here. Like that, and it will give you the quote-unquote command line interface in Windows.
So we don't select any.
Yeah, just Shift right click. Shift right click. There you go. Okay. So once we are here, then everything that I did earlier should work. That includes ADB, except you don't need the /. Okay, just ADB is fine. And if you're not sure whether this works or not, just ADB, press the Enter key. It gives you all the help messages, just like with the previous time, right? So now you can say ADB start -- server, and it should spend a little bit of time, complain that daemon is not running yet, and now it has started normally. Yep.
Shift and right.
Shift right click. So press the Shift key on the keyboard and then right click on the mouse when you're in the folder. Yeah. Right click. Start command. Okay, I'll come back and take a look at this one.
Which is it?
Huh?
Shift right click, res Inventor.
Okay, you might want to do it inside. Okay, I'll get back to you guys. Because you guys are not using Windows 7. So it may
Windows 7.
Windows
10.
10. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have to take a look at that too. Okay, because the instruction works in Windows 7. But I'll just go ahead and finish this part. So the next command you run is ADB devices, because you want to see if the emulator is actually connected, at this point, and we confirm exactly the same thing. This is the exact message that we saw earlier when I read it in Linux. Okay, so I'll get back to you guys. Okay, don't worry, I'll get back to you guys and figure out how to do it in Windows 10. But we just want to be able to show you once you get to the command line, it should be the same. So the next thing we have to do, everything else that we did in class, you should be able to do it like here. So you have to say, adb install, and then you have to specify the name of the APK file to install. I don't have one right now, okay? But if you do have one, you just have to specify where that file is located.
On the path.
The path, yep. Now the path in Windows is also different, and it also depends on which Windows you're using. But in most cases, it'll be under the C drive, under users, and then under users, you have different names. So LWT is this particular user, \, and then it has its own downloads folder. So if you have your APK file under the downloads folder, this would be where you find the APK file. So you do have to specify the name or the path of the entire file, which can be a little bit cumbersome. Okay. Are there any questions about this step? Okay, it's just a little bit cumbersome, but for the most part, it is the same as what I did in class. It's just that the way you specify the file is a little bit different. Is that okay? Okay, all right. Okay, so now let me try to address the issue with Windows 10, because apparently this instruction only works with Windows 7. So we'll go ahead and say Windows 10, start command line in folder. Okay, how to open the command line in a specific window. 10 ways to open the command prompt in Windows 10. Okay, so that may be what we want. So we have Win plus X from Task Manager, from scratch, all apps. This is the one that I want. Open command prompt from File Explorer. So what you want to do is to tap on CMD, open File Explorer, navigate to, okay, that's not what I want. Okay, forget it, this is not what I want. Open command prompt from Run, from Explorer address bar, open command prompt here from File menu. Yeah.
You could just type in CMD in the search, and then it'll pop up command prompt. That's the way I found it.
Yeah.
Okay, but does it open it in the folder where you're at?
I don't believe so.
Okay, because that's kind of what I want you guys to do, so that you don't have to go through the command line itself to navigate to the folder.
Okay.
So open File Explorer, select open the folder or drive where you want to open the command prompt from. Tap on the File tab on the ribbon. Select Open Command Prompt. Okay, so that's kind of what you have to do. I'm not sure whether you guys are seeing this or not, because I don't have Windows 10 on my machine. Did it work for you?
Yeah.
No, but you have to navigate to the folder where that's what is installed. Okay, so it says go to File. And open command prompt. That works.
Oh, easy.
That's it. Easy peasy. Okay, so go ahead and navigate to where App Inventor is installed. It will be under your C drive, program files, and App Inventor. You have to go back. Go back to the drive itself. Go to Program Files x86. Because it's a 32-bit app, it will be installed under x86. Why not? Okay, go back to the C drive again. Yeah, you can just use this bar here. Click on the C drive. There you go. Go to Program Files. Double click it. There you go. Go to double click App Inventor. Double click Commands to App Inventor. And then click File. Okay, so very good. I think we got Windows 10 covered. We got Windows 7 covered. Is anyone unfortunate enough to still be running Windows 8? Nobody? So you guys are all good? Okay. Windows XP is not bad. I can this instruction there's instructions for XP as well. All right.
7 overall.
Sorry?
I prefer 7 overall.
Yeah, 7 is not bad. 7 is really kind of good. I like XP because it's lightweight. It doesn't take up a lot of resources as a virtual machine, and since I run most of the time I run it as a virtual machine, it works out a little bit better. Okay, so everything else should be the same. Okay, it's just where you put your APK file that is kind of important. Okay, so let me show you what I would do if I were to use Windows to do all the homework assignment. So let me get back to the browser. Okay, I closed the browser already, so I'm going to have to restart the browser. And I think I'm using Firefox. Go. Okay, just for doing the homework assignment here, I would configure the browser in a particular way. So that way it makes everything a little bit easier. Okay. So in here, I'm going to click on this configuration thing, go to options. All right. When it specifies download, I want to change this to always ask me where to save files. Okay, this is a really helpful thing. So click OK, and that configuration should now be effective. So now I go to App Inventor, and I'll just go ahead and click Create Apps. So I'm going through the same process as in the class, but I did it in Linux the other time. Okay, same thing as last time. Sign into my account. And it should open up the project that I was working on right before, which is multi-screen. Okay, because the App Inventor does remember, which project was the most recent one, so you can see that it actually loads up the correct one. So now I go to Build, go to App, Save APK to my file. Everything is still kind of the same thing, except in this step I'm going to do something a little bit different to kind of make your job a little bit easier. Then you don't have to look where I downloaded and put the APK file. Uh-oh, it's complaining about unable to compile this project. Preparing.
After we, okay, what do we do?
Do it again. All right. I think this is giving me a problem because I don't have enough RAM allocated to the virtual machine. It's my guess. Okay, but when you do save the file, you want to be able to specify where to save it. You can save it to the very same folder where the command is. Then you don't have to look for it. Okay? I really can't do that right here because I don't have enough memory to actually run the tool. So let me just try it one more time. I don't think it's going to work. It's an issue with the virtual machine not having enough memory in this case. Yep, still complaining about the same thing. All right. So it looks like I cannot really show you guys, but if you put the file, the APK file, into this folder, which is commands for App Inventor, then you don't have to specify a long and convoluted path to the APK file because it's right here.
Also, we just type the name.
When you save the file, you save it into this folder. But you have to change the option in the browser first because most browsers will are set up so that it automatically downloads everything into the downloads folder, which is kind of a mess to get to because you have to type /users/ your actual username /downloads and then / the blah 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 .apk file.
Yeah.
But if you put it here, then you don't have to specify that long path. It's just the name of the file because it's already here. It's not the best way to do things. I have to admit, this is not the best way to do things because now you're saving files into an area that is not in your home folder. Okay, but it does make your job a whole lot easier doing this part. So, any questions about that?
Mine doesn't
Okay.
work. It says invalid APK file, and maybe something wrong with my file, or
Okay, when you try to install.
yeah, it says invalid
Yeah.
APK file.
Okay, I'll take a look at that, but I'm gonna make sure that we don't need any more instructions on the projector. Is that okay so far? Everybody knows how to do it? Okay, all right. So I'm gonna turn off the recorder, and basically that's the conclusion of today's lecture and also the lab.